Imagine you're sitting comfortably in your favorite chair, maybe watching a show or chatting on the phone, and you suddenly realize your feet feel kind of chilly, even though the room is plenty warm. Or perhaps when you get up to walk to the bathroom, your legs seem to drag a little, like they're moving through thick syrup, and there's this odd, heavy feeling that wasn't there a few years ago. These small, nagging sensations creep in so gradually that it's easy to think, well, this is just part of getting older, nothing to worry about. But let me tell you something important, and for more than 20 years now, I've dedicated my work to understanding how blood vessels and circulation hold up as we age, especially in folks over 60. In all that time, I've listened to hundreds of people describe almost the same set of quiet complaints: toes and feet that stay cold no matter what, legs that feel weighed down after only a short stroll, little tingles that come and go like pins and needles, cramps that wake you up in the middle of the night, ankles that puff up by the end of the day, or simply that slow realization that your legs don't have the pep and power they used to carry you through the day with ease. So many of us wave these things away, saying it's normal for our age, but the honest truth is that the passing years alone aren't the main culprit here. What usually lies underneath these everyday annoyances is poorer blood flow getting to the legs and feet, and when we keep overlooking those gentle hints our body is giving us, it can slowly chip away at how freely we move around, how much we can do on our own, and how good life feels overall. Good circulation down to the legs does so much more than just make walking feel pleasant. It's the lifeline that carries oxygen-rich blood and all the nourishing stuff our muscles need to stay strong and responsive. Our nerves need to send clear signals without confusion or strange feelings, and every bit of tissue needs to repair itself and stay healthy. When that flow gets sluggish or restricted, a whole chain of troubles starts quietly building. Muscles lose some of their strength and tire out quicker than before. Nerves can start sending odd messages that cause tingling or numbness. Small cuts or bruises take forever to heal properly. And even keeping your balance during simple things like stepping over a rug becomes something you have to concentrate on more. The really concerning thing is how stealthy this whole process can be. It gives these soft warnings for a long time, sometimes years, before any real sharp pain shows up and forces us to pay attention. Our bodies are amazingly clever at finding ways to keep going despite reduced flow, adjusting little by little so we don't notice the full extent right away. But there's only so much compensating the system can do before the cracks start showing more clearly, raising the chances of stumbling and falling, wounds that linger and sometimes get infected, nerve problems that bring ongoing discomfort, gradual shrinking of muscle tissue, and a steady drop in how mobile and independent we stay. All of this becomes especially relevant once we cross into our 60s and beyond. Over the decades, the blood vessels that used to stretch and bounce back easily start to stiffen up and lose some of that natural flexibility. The heart might not squeeze with quite the same strong, steady rhythm it had in younger years. Blood itself can get a touch thicker in consistency, and all those years of little bits of inflammation here and there, eating patterns that aren't always ideal, ongoing stress that wears on us, and too much time spent sitting or standing without enough movement combine to gradually narrow the arteries that feed the legs. None of these changes rush in overnight. They build so slowly and quietly that we adapt without realizing how much is shifting. Then one day you notice a walk to the mailbox leaves you more winded than it used to. Your feet feel perpetually cool, even with thick socks, or your legs run out of steam much faster during routine chores around the house. A lot of folks hold on to the idea that circulation trouble only counts as serious when it brings on steady, intense pain that stops you in your tracks. That's a risky way to think, because pain often arrives late in the game, after circulation has already been struggling for quite a while. By the time it hurts enough to complain loudly, the body has been quietly working overtime to make up for the shortfall. Lower blood flow raises the odds of falls that can lead to broken bones or bruises, sores or cuts that heal slowly and risk complications, nerve damage that leaves lingering tingles or weakness, muscle loss that makes everyday strength harder to keep, and an overall slide in mobility that affects everything from grocery shopping to playing with grandkids. The good news, and this is the part I really want you to lean into, is that most people picture fixing circulation as something big and complicated, like needing pills, medical procedures, or pushing through tough workouts that feel impossible with sore joints or lower energy. Those approaches have their place for certain medical conditions, but they don't cover the whole picture. One of the quickest, simplest, and most effective ways to start helping blood flow, especially valuable in our later years, begins with something you already do every single day. Choosing what goes into your glass, but doing it in a smart way that gives your vessels and blood exactly the support they need. Over the next little while, I'm going to walk you through a straightforward 5-step plan that helps blood move more easily to the legs, delivers more oxygen to those hardworking muscles and nerves, and can make your legs feel warmer, lighter, and more capable again. Everything here draws from solid research done at places like Harvard, Boston University, and various studies focused on blood vessel health in older adults. Before we dive deeper, if any of this is hitting close to home, take a second to leave a comment with your age and mention if you've been dealing with cold feet, ankles that swell later in the day, or legs that tire out faster than they should. It really helps me connect with where you're at and what matters most right now. Let's talk plainly about what's going on inside so it all makes sense and feels less mysterious. When we reach our 60s, 70s, and older, 4 main things shift in ways that directly affect how well blood reaches the lower body. First, think about your arteries the way you'd think about a garden hose that's been used for many seasons. It gradually hardens, loses its stretch, and gets tighter in spots from buildup and irritation. Doctors call this arterial stiffness, and it creates extra resistance, so blood has a tougher time pushing all the way to your feet and toes. Researchers at Boston University followed about 500 adults for a full 10 years, regularly measuring how flexible their arteries stayed and tracking how their legs felt and functioned. The results were striking. People whose arteries had stiffened more were 52% more likely to report ongoing cold feet, legs that fatigued quickly during activity, and noticeable difficulty walking longer distances. I understand if you've already tried things like rubbing your legs, wearing compression socks, or using warming creams from the store shelf. Those can feel nice for a short time, but they don't fix the fundamental change. The vessels themselves aren't as able to open wide and let blood rush through smoothly anymore. The second change involves a natural molecule called nitric oxide. This little substance acts like a gentle messenger inside the blood vessels, telling them to relax, expand, and allow blood to flow freely without resistance. After 60, our bodies make less of it on their own. You can picture nitric oxide as the friendly traffic director who keeps cars moving smoothly on a busy road. When that director steps away, things slow down, backups form, and the areas farther along, like your calf muscles and feet, don't get the steady supply they need. Scientists at Harvard looked into this with adults over 65 and found that adding dietary nitrates, which the body turns into nitric oxide, led to a 25% better ability to walk comfortably after only 2 weeks. That's a solid improvement from something fairly straightforward. A common mistake many people make is believing they can simply push through more walking or activity to overcome the issue, or deciding to wait until symptoms get really bad before doing anything. Both approaches can backfire because they miss some key pieces. Your calf muscles play a starring role here. They work like a natural pump every time you take a step or shift your weight. When those muscles contract, they squeeze the veins and help send blood back up toward the heart against gravity's pull. If the calves weaken from less use, poorer flow, or the natural effects of time, the pumping action gets less effective. Blood tends to collect in the lower legs, swelling increases, pressure builds in the veins, and circulation becomes even more sluggish overall. Think of it like using a hand pump to draw water up. If you stop pumping regularly, everything just sits at the bottom. A study in the Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy tested this idea with older adults and discovered that doing just 10 minutes of simple calf-focused movements each day boosted blood flow to the lower legs by 38% after 4 weeks. If cramps hit your calves even after a brief walk around the block, that's often your body's way of signaling that this pump needs some help to get back on track. The fourth factor is hydration, and this one catches a lot of people off guard because it seems too ordinary to matter much. As we get older, our thirst signals quiet down. We don't feel as dry even when our fluid levels are lower than optimal. Many seniors end up mildly dehydrated day after day without noticing, and that thicker blood puts extra work on the heart while slowing how quickly nutrients and oxygen reach the farthest spots, like the toes and feet. Studies on older adults have shown that even light dehydration can cut circulation to the legs by 15 to 20%, making muscles tire much faster during normal activities. Drinking water helps, but what's in the water makes a big difference too. Adding electrolytes, minerals, and natural nitrates keeps vessels more flexible and supports ongoing nitric oxide production. What makes the situation extra challenging is how these four changes don't act alone. They feed into each other in a quiet loop. Stiffer arteries force the muscles to work harder than they should. Weaker muscles allow more blood to pool and swell the legs. Lower nitric oxide keeps vessels from opening fully, restricting flow even more. Dehydration thickens blood, adding strain everywhere. Because each piece worsens the others and the early signs stay so mild, most people let the pattern continue for years before it becomes impossible to ignore. To help this feel more real, let me tell you about two people whose experiences I think you'll recognize. Margaret was 68 and had always stayed busy. She tended her garden, walked with friends most mornings, and loved keeping up with family activities. Lately, though, her legs started feeling heavy and tired after just a few blocks. Her feet turned cold as soon as the sun went down, and her ankles swelled noticeably every evening. She confided in me one afternoon, her voice a little shaky, saying she felt like her legs were giving up on her way too soon, like she was losing the freedom to move before she was ready to slow down in other parts of life. It worried her deeply because she didn't want to become someone who had to sit out the things she loved. We started her on the C-ARC protocol, blending nitrate-rich hydration, gentle calf-strengthening exercises, short but regular walks, warmth applied to the legs and feet, meals that calm inflammation and nourish vessels, and avoiding long stretches of sitting still. In the first week, she noticed her feet felt warmer right away in the mornings instead of icy. By the second week, the swelling around her ankles had gone down by about half, letting her wear her comfortable shoes without that tight feeling. After 4 weeks, she could go up and down stairs without the exhausting drag she'd come to expect, and by 8 weeks, her calves felt firmer and more dependable. Her blood pressure, which had been sitting around 142/88, eased to 125/78 without needing any medicine adjustments. More than anything, she told me she walked with a new sense of steadiness and didn't worry as much about tripping or needing to stop every few minutes. Then there was Robert, 72, a retired schoolteacher who'd spent decades on his feet teaching classes and coaching kids. In recent years, though, sharp leg cramps woke him up several times most nights. His toes went numb when he sat too long watching television or reading, and swelling in his ankles made him hesitate to go for the daily walks he'd always enjoyed. He felt discouraged because the very things that used to keep him active now seemed to work against him. We brought in the same circ approach, starting days with a nitrate drink, adding easy calf movements he could do seated or standing, building short walks even just around the house or yard, using warmth through cozy socks and occasional foot soaks, and shifting meals toward foods that support circulation. Results came faster than he expected. After about 10 days, the nighttime cramps had dropped by around 60%, giving him much more restful sleep. By 3 weeks, his feet stayed warmer throughout the day, and the numbness happened less often and felt milder. At 6 weeks, he could walk 40% farther without needing to pause as much, and he noticed better confidence when standing or turning. By 10 weeks, the ankle swelling had mostly disappeared, and follow-up lab work showed stronger nitric oxide-related markers. Margaret and Robert both discovered that giving circulation thoughtful support doesn't just quiet down discomfort, it brings back lost abilities, builds endurance for daily joys, and helps hold on to the independence that makes life feel full. The method I guide people through is called the CIRC protocol, which stands for Circulation Improvement Routine for the Legs, and it has 5 practical steps that each address one of those core changes we discussed. Let's go through them one by one so you can picture exactly how they fit into your routine. The 5th step, which tends to bring some of the earliest noticeable differences, centers on smart hydration with a nitrate boost. You can mix 2 to 4 ounces of plain beet juice into a glass, or if the straight juice tastes too earthy, stir in half a teaspoon of beetroot powder with water. Add just a small pinch of mineral-rich salt like sea salt or a fresh squeeze of lemon to brighten it and help with absorption. This simple drink encourages your body to make more nitric oxide, helps blood vessels relax and widen, and improves flow overall. Harvard research showed seniors gaining about 25% more comfortable walking distance with a similar habit. The best times are right after you wake up, perhaps before breakfast, and then again in the mid-afternoon when energy often dips naturally. If you're taking any blood pressure medicine, have kidney concerns, or notice any stomach upset with beets, talk to your doctor first to be safe. Moving to the fourth step, focus on gentle movements that activate the calf pump. You don't need fancy equipment or a gym, just simple actions you can do almost anywhere. While sitting in a chair or standing with something sturdy to hold on to, try ankle circles, slowly 10 in each direction, or calf raises where you rise up onto your toes and lower back down smoothly, or seated leg lifts holding the legs straight out for a few seconds before resting. Aim for about 10 minutes spread across the day, maybe a quick session after your morning drink, another mid-morning or after lunch, and one more in the evening before bed. These small contractions strengthen the muscle action that pushes blood upward, cuts down on pooling, and supports the whole circulatory loop. For the third step, bring in warmth to help vessels relax and get more oxygen where it's needed. Wear thicker, cozy socks during cooler hours, soak your feet in warm, not scalding water for 10 or 15 minutes in the evening, or use light, upward strokes to massage your calves and feet gently. Pairing this with your nitrate drink works especially well. Have the drink first, then later apply the warmth for an extra boost in relaxation and flow. The second step involves eating in a way that reduces inflammation and keeps arteries healthier. Include plenty of leafy greens like spinach, kale, or romaine. Enjoy fresh berries and citrus fruits often. Snack on a small handful of nuts or seeds, and choose omega-3 sources such as salmon, walnuts, or flax seeds when you can. At the same time, cut back on heavily processed packaged foods and keep sugary treats to a minimum. These choices help ease the stiffness in blood vessels and make it easier for blood to travel without extra resistance. The first step highlights the power of frequent movement instead of rare big efforts. Every hour or so, stand up and move around for 2 to 3 minutes, walk to the kitchen, do a few ankle rolls while holding the counter, march gently in place, or stretch your legs out. Add a short daily walk if your schedule allows, or try low-impact cycling on a stationary bike for 10 minutes at a stretch. The key is spreading activity throughout the day rather than saving it all for one long session. Short, regular bursts keep circulation humming much more effectively. When you layer these 5 pieces together, nitrate hydration laying the groundwork, calf movements adding the pump action, warmth encouraging relaxation, anti-inflammatory eating supporting vessel health, and frequent movement preventing stagnation, the improvements grow steadily and strengthen one another over time. Folks who stick with the CIRC protocol usually see changes unfold in a predictable way. During the first week, many notice their feet feel warmer, especially first thing in the morning, and that constant heaviness in the legs starts to lighten just a bit. In the second week, ankle swelling often goes down noticeably, and nighttime cramps become less frequent or intense. By the third and fourth weeks, walking starts feeling easier with fewer forced breaks, and balance seems steadier during everyday movements like getting out of a chair or turning around. After about a month, more measurable shifts appear, calves feel stronger and more toned, nitric oxide levels rise, and arteries respond better to the body's demands. It's a step-by-step biological shift. Hydration and better vessel openness come early, warmth then reduces fatigue, and finally endurance and quicker recovery build up. Please remember this approach supports circulation, but never takes the place of medical care for diagnosed conditions or overrides any prescriptions your doctor has given. Don't stop any medications on your own. Always get approval first. Before starting, have a quick chat with your physician, especially if you use blood pressure drugs, blood thinners, have a history of kidney stones, or live with advanced heart or vascular problems. Begin slowly. Start with smaller amounts of beet juice or powder, keep movements gentle, and only increase as your body gets comfortable with the changes. I'd love for you to give this a real try in a low-pressure way. Choose just one part of the CIRC protocol that feels easiest for you right now. Maybe the morning nitrate drink, a few minutes of calf exercises scattered through the day, or simply standing up to move briefly every hour. Stick with that single thing faithfully for 30 days straight. When the month is up, come back here and share in the comments what differences you felt, even the small ones. Your legs have supported you faithfully through so many chapters of life, through work, family moments, travels, and quiet evenings. They truly deserve ongoing kindness and attention instead of being dismissed as an inevitable sign of time moving on. Taking these gentle steps to nurture blood flow helps protect the mobility, self-sufficiency, and everyday joys that keep life rich and meaningful. Keep listening to those little signals your body sends and know that consistent small efforts can bring surprisingly big rewards. Take good care of yourself. You've earned it.